how is it we come to know anything? And on what basis do we undertake the search for answers to questions?
Yes, I received a letter indicating that I need to pay some amount, and they charged a significant penalty or interest on a large amount. I filed my taxes electronically, and I filed them by the 15th of April, and there was some rejections, and then notification by email that there would be a 10-day extension, or I don't know if it's an extension, but anyway, I'm stuck with what I thought was a very unreasonable amount to pay. I apparently had $1,693 to pay, and paid $1,600, and the interest or penalty for filing a late fee. That's one thing I contest is a late fee because I filed on time.
So if it didn't reach the Internal Revenue Service, if we didn't have it, then you will be charged a failure to pay or a failure to file on time penalty.
Well, I filed this stuff. It did reach. I received email that it.
You didn't receive email from the Internal Revenue Service because we don't email. You received email from whatever software company you were using.
Yeah, Tax Act.
Yeah, whatever software company.
Yes, it was Tax Act software, and they on the 14th it said your return has been received from the State Department of Revenue, and then I received another one on. There's several emails. There was said that first one said there's 10 days. There was a rejection the next day, and then it said if you're still filed on time, and 10 days to continue filing, and I continued filing, and I kept getting rejections.
The best thing that you should have done if you kept getting rejections was to print it out and mail it in, take it to a post office, or even take it into an Internal Revenue Service Taxpayer Assistance Center. If you continue to get rejections, because there were some errors on the return, apparently.
So if you're saying after 10 days,
I'm going to tell you something. That 10 days comes apparently from whatever software company you're using. That has nothing to do with the Internal Revenue Service.
Well, I presume they're getting their...
The deadline is April 15th, which every American knows.
Is there a law saying that I must pay income taxes?
I'm not going to get into that. If you want to pay, that's totally up to you. If you don't want to pay, that's totally up to you.
Are you guys going to send a goon squad over to force collect?
I mean, if you owe a balance, of course there will be some kind of eventually there will be some kind of way to try to convince you to pay. But if you don't, I mean, it's totally up to you. We're not going to go back and forth.
You know, there's the 16th Amendment. That's the law that, or I don't know if it's a law. It's a amendment that states that there's a collection on some taxes, and I'm not even sure that they apply to individuals, but that particular 16th Amendment was not ratified by Florida, Virginia, or Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and I just sit here and do what they say and answer the phone, so I'm not going to get into the amendments and that kind of thing. If you want to pay it, pay it, and if you don't, don't.
That's a good neutral position.
That's really how I feel. That's the truth, because when it's all said and done, I've done what I was supposed to do, and then I can go home at night. I can't take this job home with me.
Is that like the people that worked for Hitler when they said I was just following orders? Just doing my job?
Probably.
That sounds pretty hypocritical.
Well, that is how it is. I can't worry about your taxes. I have my own to worry about. If you would like me to open up your account and assist you, I'll be happy to do that. But I'm not going to just debate the amendments with you or anything like that. It's not that serious.
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit upset that I have this software that tells me that I have 10 days.
I would imagine. But that you take that up with the software. You call the software company. You take that up with them when you're upset about that.
Do you think they're going to do anything for me, or just some?
Truthfully, I have no clue because I have not had any. I personally used Tax Act for the first time.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issues with it. This is the first time I've heard somebody having an issue with Tax Act. I've heard of other software companies, people using other software systems and having huge problems this year. This is the first call that I've received this tax year, and somebody had an issue with Tax Act. Because, like I said, I personally used Tax Act for the first time and didn't have any issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, it went pretty good, except for the fact that, you know,
you were rejected more than anytime.
Well, what I was led to believe that I could keep.
I understand.
Making attempts. I did make my filing by the 15th, and I could keep making attempts and rejections until I got acceptance. Because, I mean, after all, I can file for a 4-month extension, right? What kind of an excuse do I need to get a 4-month extension?
Actually, you can file up.
Two 4-month extensions.
It's up to 6 months. But that's an extension to file the tax return. That's not an extension to pay a balance if you're expecting to owe a balance.
Oh, it only works when you guys owe me, not when I owe you.
It's just an extension to pay, to file the tax return.
To file, just to file. Doesn't matter whether I owe or am owed.
Owe a balance. That's not an extension to pay the balance that you owe. You could, we do have something in place for that as well, but that would be a separate phone call.
Why would that be separate?
Because the tax return has to be filed, and then you'd have to call in, and we would have to put it in the system. The extension to pay, we put it in over the phone this way. The extension to file after April 15th, we can't do that. We don't put it in.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit late at that time.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that, you know, I don't know if that would have helped. Would I still have been charged interest if I'd have got an extension in?
Well, you're always going to get charged interest as long as there's a balance. But what would have helped would probably have been the penalties if you had penalties, like failure to file on time penalties. That's generally what gets people. But my suggestion is that you always ask for you can file and ask for an abatement. This is the time you've done it. Ask for an abatement. You can go online if you have access to the internet, pull off Form 843. And request a penalty abatement based on what you just told me.
An abatement?
Abatement, that's correct.
Form 843. And that is going to allow me to.
You're putting in you're requesting that they abate any penalties. Now we don't abate interest, but what happens is when you have penalties abated, if you're fortunate enough to have some of the penalties abated, some of the interest will automatically drop off. You know, they'll let you know what happened.
Well, they got $169 for penalties and a $17 penalty for paying late, and I thought I paid on time as the best that I could according to the software that I thought was giving me. Said I had 10 days, and then I guess that was it after 10 days if I didn't get a paper return in.
Anytime you get constant rejections like that, my suggestion and it could very well be legitimate things wrong that need to be fixed. But by it being so close to the deadline, my suggestion would definitely be to print out the tax return and get it in either by mail, as long as that postmark has the 15th on it, or taking it into a local taxpayer assistance